guests, welcome to today's Big Brother Over the Top updates and spoilers. Our house guest of the day is Mike Schumacher. Thanks so much for watching. You're awesome. And if you guys want to be house guests today like Mike, check out our Patreon link in the info box below. Alright, so yesterday, Jason, Neely, and Chrissy were in the HOH room, and 2 out of the 3 of them had just become have-nots. They're a little cranky. But anyway, they're really getting tired of Danielle, especially Jason. They're sick of all the Friends references, her like 4-hour stories that they've heard a million times. And, you know, besides her telling the same stories over and over, it's the way that she goes about it. She never listens to anybody else. So then Jason says that she's just like sitting there waiting for her turn or not to tell the story. Like, she'll just be like, and then at my first birthday party, this happened. Yeah, so they're over it, and Jason's like, it's getting to the point where I'm just gonna tell her to her face, like, shut up, you're freaking annoying. And he's not even sure if that's gonna work. But anyway, after they were done talking about Danielle, they start crap talking the Ball Smashers. They're like, oh, they're so juvenile with their little games they play. Not too long after that, they joined the Ball Smashers to play What Are the Odds? Now, this was actually fun to watch, everybody hanging out and having a good time. So the girls and Justin and Scott were all sharing what they did at the safety ceremony last time. You know, the last time they were all playing What Are the Odds, when the late night jamboree didn't even want to come out from the London room, so they didn't even know that all this silly stuff was happening at the last safety ceremony, but yeah. So then, you know, they were making up some more stuff for the safety ceremony, and as a result of the game, Chrissy had to hit the safety buttons with a pickle. Neely, they really like messing with those pickles. Neely has to twerk on all fours whenever someone is named safe. And Justin was wearing Danielle's thong over his clothes, and Scott was wearing Morgan's bikini top over his clothes. Yay! Okay, so then it was time for the safety ceremony, and Big Brother was like, you are not touching those HOH buttons with a pickle. So Chrissy was a good sport about it. She held a pickle in her other hand while she was, you know, doing her safety thing. And all of the house guests gathered in the living room. Whoa, unity. It was crazy, but it was actually really nice, again, to see everybody gathered together. So then at the ceremony, Neely, Justin, and Danielle were all named safe. It's like the Nose Ring Alliance, and we got some twerks from Neely every time somebody was safe. Ceremony over. Alright, so then a little while later, Jason and Justin are having a little strategy chat, and Jason is like, we need to really try and win this next HOH because people from our own damn side are going to be targeting us. And Justin's like, what? I've been telling you that. And Jason's like, yeah, but I finally got, like, confirmation from Chrissy that Danielle thinks that I'm going to flip and work with the plastic. So he's like, we need to freaking get rid of Danielle. She sucks. So then Neely comes in, she busts up the conversation, but we'll come back to Jason and Justin. So then Alex and Scott are in the lounge room, and they have a little game chat. They know, via Justin, that the other side, the late night jamboree, is kind of splintering right now because Justin's been telling everybody and their mother that he does not trust Neely or Danielle. So, I mean, he's given out some important information about his alliance. And Scott is also like, Justin told me that he's trying to keep me off the block this week and keep me safe because he wants me to be around to take out Neely for him. And you gotta think Alex is thinking, oh shit, Scott's like who we're trying to get rid of, so it's none of the girls. But then she's like, oh, sorry, Scott is saying he's still not really totally sure who the target is this week because he's been hearing a lot of different things. So Scott is like, okay, it's great that Alex is safe this week. It's like he cares more about Alex's safety than his own. So now he's saying, I'm going to try and keep myself safe and try and keep Shelby safe because he's got that little ASS thing going with Alex and Shelby. But it's interesting because we know that Alex would definitely try to sacrifice Shelby to keep Morgan safe. So she's trying to steer people away from Morgan. We'll see. So then Jason and Justin reconvene in the bathroom area a little while later, and Justin is like, we should try and save Scott this week because he can take out Neely and Danielle for us. You know, we should try and convince Chrissy to get rid of Shelby instead. Again, I don't know what it is, but Justin and Shelby, like, cannot stand each other. But at the same, it's like a love-hate thing, it seems like. I don't know. But Jason is like, no, absolutely not. Like, people are already skeptical that we got something going with Scott. If we try to keep him this week, it's going to be even worse. Just earlier this week, people were freaking out when he was trying to save Alex. So he's like, no, let's just let Chrissy do what she wants. Scott is not really going to do much for us anyway in the long run. Can't really trust him. He sucks at competitions anyway. So once we get rid of Scott, Jason feels like they're going to have Alex. So Jason is like, we need Scott out. And Justin's like, all right, for sure, if you say so. So then Morgan goes and talks to Chrissy again in the HOH because Alex was like, you need to do this. So Morgan is like, I know, it's probably me or Whitney going up as a pawn. And Morgan lets Chrissy know that she's cool with going up. She trusts her and she's not going to take it out on her at a later date. So I guess Morgan is volunteering to go up because if she is going to be on the block, she's paranoid that she's a target. So she wants a chance to win that power of veto. She doesn't want to be backdoored. So Chrissy's like, whichever one of you guys goes up with my target, you are totally safe. So she's telling them, or sorry, she's telling Morgan, if any of you girls win the power of veto, do not use it on Scott. She's trying to make it very clear. Scott is her target, but these girls are not really believing it. They're very paranoid right now. So Chrissy's telling her Scott is here for TV time. She says it's funny because they're not even on TV. True. And this is not the first time I've heard them refer to Scott doing Scott stuff. I don't understand what they mean by that. I think they're talking about Scott wanting to, like, check things off of his Big Brother bucket list. I guess that's what they're talking about, but I'm really curious to know what exactly is Scott stuff. But anyway, Morgan ends the conversation by saying she would love to work with Chrissy and Neely in the future, and Chrissy's like, yeah, I know. I see that you and Neely are getting very close, and, like, I like it. We'll see what happens down the line. Alright, so this morning, Chrissy got the HOH camera. They're all having fun with that. Moving on. Jason and Danielle continue to be petty betties. Last night, Jason was telling Danielle to spit in the container of icing. Ew. And Danielle was like, no, it's okay. I've been double dipping with this spoon. I've been licking it and then putting it back in. That's so disgusting. But then this morning, Jason was like, we should hide all the food that Shelby likes. And Danielle was like, I'll just eat all of it. What the hell? Like, let freaking Shelby enjoy her food. I don't get it. So then Alex and Shelby were chatting in the storage room. And Alex is telling her, I think you're the safest one in our group this week. You know, aside from Alex, of course, because she is the safety servant. But she's like, Chrissy is telling Morgan and Whitney that Scott is the target. And she's telling Scott that it's going to be Morgan or Whitney. So they're not totally sure who it is. But she feels like Shelby is pretty safe because her name is not really being thrown around. She's kind of like off to the side. But in reality, Shelby is like the plan B to Scott being the target. So Shelby's like, well, I'm going to talk to Chrissy again, see what's up. And then Alex starts freaking planting seeds. She's like, you should almost want to go up on the block, you know, so you have a chance to play in that power of veto. You know, Alex wants to see Shelby up there because she's trying to protect Morgan. So then they're talking about how they think that it would be stupid for Chrissy to put Scott up on the block because he's probably going to be America's nominee. And they think this because they've noticed that the first person who was named as a have-not has been America's nominee. So they think that this trend is going to continue. And Scott this week was the first have-not named, so they think it's going to be him. I don't think that's how it works, but sure. But they think that it would be dumb for Chrissy to put him up if he's going to be America's nominee because then somebody else like Neely or Jason could go up and then Chrissy's going to be in trouble. The funny part is, though, Chrissy is planning on putting up Scott, and she doesn't really seem that worried about America's nominee. So Shelby and Chrissy have their chat in the HOH room, and Shelby also volunteers herself as a pawn. It goes a lot like Morgan's discussion with Chrissy. She's like, I won't be pissed. Go ahead and put me up. It's all good. And Chrissy's like, it's blatantly obvious who my target is this week. And Shelby's like, is it? I don't know. But, I mean, she's basically saying, it's Scott. Scott is my target. So she tells Shelby that she's going to be safe if she goes up, which is a lie because Shelby is plan B, or C actually, because Alex was plan A. But if Scott wins that power veto, the new target is supposed to be Shelby, but Chrissy's just like, yeah, you're safe, it's fine. She also lies about Alex being her initial target. Whatever. So, part 2 of the safety ceremony is tonight. We'll find out who the nominees are. I'm assuming it's going to be Scott and, of course, one of the girls. I don't know which one, if it's going to be Morgan, Whitney, or Shelby. I would guess Shelby or Morgan. I don't think it's going to be Whitney, but I'm not totally sure. Chrissy hasn't really solidified who that pawn is going to be yet. And then tomorrow morning, we'll find out who America's nominee is. So let me know in the comments who you guys are voting for America's nominee. And until tomorrow, much love.